Tonight on Cronkite News, one group's plea to Governor Ducey for safer schools in Arizona.
Plus, conquering COVID, how one Phoenix police officer survived the coronavirus with the help of 5 people.
And later this half hour, we're breaking down how cancel culture can be counterproductive.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Megan Marples.
And I'm Spencer Hardenberg. Thank you for joining us.
The days are getting shorter and temperatures are getting colder. As winter approaches, coronavirus deaths are climbing. It's prompting a resurgence of measures to rein in the virus, which is expected to get worse here in the colder months. According to the Arizona Department of Health Services, there have been more than 275,000 COVID infections in our state so far, with almost half of those cases coming from people ages 20 to 44 years old. And Arizona isn't the only state seeing an increase in infections. As the number of coronavirus cases increases, states and cities across the nation are ramping up restrictions to curb the spread. From New Jersey, where officials are tightening restrictions on social gatherings, all the way to California, where the face covering mandate is being strengthened. The ramped up restrictions, quite simply, is that it's getting worse. The U.S. added 1 million cases in just 6 days, topping 11 million total on Sunday. Hospitalizations are also up at record levels, topping 73,000 on Monday, according to the COVID Tracking Project. The wave of infections, hospitalizations, and deaths comes as Americans look ahead to the holidays, longing to gather with loved ones as many experts warn against get-togethers. And as the Trump administration continues to stonewall the transition to President-elect Joe Biden's administration, Biden himself has a dire warning.
More people may die if we don't coordinate. If we have to wait until January 20th to start that planning, it puts us behind over a month and a half.
Meanwhile, the nation's top infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says Americans should not expect another national lockdown, but should anticipate some restrictions on a local level.
We're not going to see a national lockdown, but what we're seeing, certain local people, be they mayors or leaders in the community, doing selected closing of places that are highly vulnerable. Clearly among them are bars and anything that has congregate setting, particularly indoors.
Fauci urged the nation to hang in there and continue to practice public health measures while waiting for a vaccine to be available to the masses, likely by next year.
Recently, many schools in Arizona have started to transition back to virtual learning due to the rising cases of COVID-19. But other schools are still teaching students in person. Faith Abercrombie learned more about a recent petition that's calling for the state of Arizona to create a better plan for schools during a pandemic.
The petition was started by the Arizona Education Association, and it's calling for a better plan to keep students, staff, and teachers safe.
Now, as cases rise nationally and in Arizona, many of those mitigation measures remain in place.
But now, the Arizona Education Association is calling for a statewide action plan for safer schools during COVID-19 through a petition.
We never got that clear-cut direction. It was basically passing the buck to our school districts and putting all the responsibility on opening, reopening, closing, mitigation strategies, all on the individual districts.
The AEA previously sent 2 letters to Governor Ducey asking for a transparent and statewide plan for schools and received no response.
What do the numbers need to say in order for there to be action? I don't know what needs to happen.
Do it for our teachers.
The petition asks for actions to be done like additional funding to support distance learning, inspections of air filtration systems, and proper PPE and cleaning supplies.
We have been asking for a unified voice. And so this petition is asking for the governor to meet with educators, which he has yet to do, and try to help actually think about how the plans are impacting each individual student, but also educators.
Superintendent of Public Instruction Kathy Hoffman shared this statement with Cronkite News. It starts by saying she values the collaboration with Governor Ducey's office, but then it says in part, as our COVID-19 case numbers continue to surge, it is time for more aggressive mitigation strategies. I would support a statewide mask mandate, testing and quarantine requirements for seasonal residents, a pause on winter sports, limits on social gatherings, and flexibility for restaurants to expand outdoor dining. These efforts are needed to protect all Arizonans' health and safety, but particularly our education and healthcare professionals. The AEA told me they meet frequently with Superintendent Hoffman to talk about strategies for COVID-19 within schools. As of today, the AEA has not yet heard back from the governor's office. In the broadcast center, Faith Abercrombie, Cronkite News.
Right now, the county with the most coronavirus cases in Arizona is Maricopa County. Now, this may not surprise you, given that it is Arizona's most populated county, but what may surprise you is just how many people in Maricopa County have come into contact with the virus. According to a county-wide antibody study that ended in mid-September, more than 1 in 10 Maricopa County residents have been infected with COVID-19. The study also found that there is a discrepancy between the amount of reported and unreported cases in Maricopa. According to the county, for every case that was reported, 3 or 4 cases additionally went unreported. Since research on this virus is still being done, it is unclear what this could mean for herd immunity.
As COVID-19 cases continue to rise, so does the demand for blood donations. Abigail Verowick joins us now with more on the efforts underway to replenish the blood supply here in Arizona amidst the global pandemic. Abby?
Yes, today marks the start of the First Responder Holiday Blood Drive Challenge, organized by Vitalant and the world's largest firefighting museum. This statewide campaign leading up to the holidays aims to encourage people across Arizona to donate blood in honor of first responders. In addition to collecting blood donations, Vitalant is also accepting convalescent plasma from donors that can help be used to help COVID-19 patients. Vitalant's first plasma transfusion recipient, Phoenix police officer Santos Robles, shared how the procedure saved his life.
Somebody wanted to help somebody when they donated the plasma that I got. So therefore, if the plasma that I give helps somebody, then that's the goal, because it helped me. And I know the way that I felt, and the helpless feeling you have when you're sitting in the hospital and you just don't know. It was tough.
Officer Robles contracted COVID-19 while on duty during the 4th of July. A few days later, he passed out due to the lack of oxygen from pneumonia. When his son found him, he was rushed to the hospital with a broken face and a punctured lung. It took 5 convalescent plasma transfusions to save his life. The First Responders Holiday Blood Drive will continue through New Year's Eve. For more information about donating blood or plasma, visit vitalant.org. In the studio, Abigail Verowick, Cronkite News.
Maricopa is set to move forward with a planned certification of the election results this coming Thursday or Friday, despite a last-second effort by 3 Arizona Republican congressmen to stop it. Republican Congressman Andy Biggs, David Schweikert, and Paul Gosar emailed the County Board of Supervisors Friday requesting a full recount of all 2 million ballots in Maricopa County. They claim the board and recorder Adrian Fontes broke the law by not doing a precinct-level hand count to check for accuracy. But Republican Attorney General Mark Brnovich's office says the county followed the law in its hand count. December 8th is the last day to settle all election disputes.
Coming up next on Cronkite News, a health disparity is increasing the rate of maternal mortality for women of color. We take a look at possible causes and solutions.
Plus, scammer alert, we get to look at how some are using the pandemic to drain your bank account when we return.
Here we go, lights up. Whoa.
As artists, we conduct our educations in public. You can never know whether it's going to be a success. One just has to risk it.
It's you and the work and the place. It's a very particular relationship.
Here's our lens. Tell us what you think.
Friday night at 9 on Arizona PBS.
I'm Judy Woodruff, anchor and managing editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
Every day I wake up, my first thought is, how can I serve this community?
The biggest hurdle was not taking PTSD personally.
Would you welcome, please, the amazing.
Everybody that watches this, they say that I am the greatest that they've ever seen.
New tonight, women of color are dying during childbirth at an alarming rate in the United States. Cronkite News reporter Rosaura Wordsworth gives us a glimpse into some of the factors that may be causing this disparity.
Indigenous and Black women are 2 to 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes than white women, according to a study released in September 2019 by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Alicia Montgomery of Phoenix shares her experience at the hospital.
I had some nurses that were really nice and that were really attentive, and then I had some nurses that were really rough.
Lily Bastian of the American College of Nurse Midwives says her organization has identified the root causes of pregnancy-related mortality in women of color.
It has a lot to do with systemic racism. I think it also has a lot to do with toxic stress.
According to a 2019 CDC study, approximately 700 women die in the United States each year as a result of pregnancy or pregnancy-related complications. So that you can have a better understanding of what I'm talking about, for every 100,000 live births, 13 white women experience pregnancy-related death. As you can see, that's a huge disparity in relation to 30 Indigenous women and 41 African American women. Bastian says that they're working extremely hard to eliminate this disparity.
We need to increase the numbers of midwives that are people of color, and specifically African American.
Lakeisha Muhammad says she became a midwife because of her own experience with giving birth to twins.
For Black women in particular, I think that we're seeing across the country that it's not always the safest place, that it's not all, the level of intervention that is given in the hospital doesn't necessarily ensure our safety.
Muhammad explains that the care midwives provide is more personal. They are there to help pregnant women from their first appointment to managing stress and answer questions postpartum.
I think that midwifery is the answer to that, and embracing midwifery, embracing home birth and out-of-hospital birth in general.
The American College of Nurse Midwives supports the Midwives for Moms Act that addresses maternity care shortages and promotes optimal maternity outcomes by expanding education opportunities for midwives. After her experience, Montgomery says she will make changes for her next baby.
Get a midwife, a doula, maybe not even have your baby at a hospital, maybe looking into a birthing center.
Rosaura Wordsworth, Cronkite News.
Representatives from the American College of Nurse Midwives say they're working closely with members of the House Maternal Health Caucus to ensure the Midwives for Moms Act remains a priority in Congress.
Scammers are using the COVID-19 pandemic to trick people into sending them money. Many of Arizona's utility companies are coming together to spread awareness for Utility Scam Awareness Day, which is tomorrow. The goal? Educate customers so they can avoid becoming a victim. Scammers typically use phone, in-person, and online tactics to target people. APS spokesperson Jill Hanks explains some of the common signs.
These scammers tend to be very aggressive. They are threatening. They're trying to rush you. They want to get you in kind of a state of anxiety so that you make a rash decision. They can be downright nasty on the phone. We've heard instances where they might curse at people. They're very demanding. They want your money and they want it now.
Some ways to protect yourself. Don't purchase a prepaid card. Utilities never require payment be made this way. Call your utility company to verify and make sure you look up the number yourself. Some spammers will mirror the actual name of the company. And protect your personal information. Don't share it with an unverified caller. Hank says APS will not cut off any utilities due to non-payments for the rest of the year due to the current pandemic.
You'll have to start paying more for the Hulu with Live TV bundle plan starting next month. On December 18th, the streaming service will go from $54.99 a month to $64.99 a month. And Hulu's not the only streaming service increasing prices. Just last month, Netflix increased its monthly fee as well. Though the increases were by only $1 and $2 a month, Netflix's standard plan is now $14 a month, and its premium tier is $18 a month. The price hikes come as companies want to create their own content, and outside content is getting more expensive to license.
After the break, Thanksgiving is just around the corner, but for some families, this time of year can present new challenges. When Cronkite News returns, we'll take a look at Walmart's promise to feed millions this holiday season.
The weather around Phoenix is just beautiful today. Let's take a look at the weather around the valley.
Thank you for joining us for the special edition of Cronkite News.
Here are the top stories that we're tracking today at noon.
Some of the best players for their program.
Like most things this year, Thanksgiving is expected to be different. AAA is predicting a 10% decline in travel compared to 2019. Their original forecast predicted about 50 million Americans planning to go somewhere over the holiday.
But since that forecast was put together, we know that number has definitely decreased. And that's because it's the pandemic. COVID numbers are increasing and states are changing their regulations, their guidance in terms of travel when you leave the state or when you return.
Of those traveling, AAA predicts 95% will go by car to places close by and be gone for fewer days. As for traffic, Wednesday afternoon is expected to be the busiest. Also, AAA says gas prices nationally are about 50 cents less on average than they were a year ago.
While Thanksgiving is a time to celebrate with family and friends, the holiday season may not be merry for those struggling with food insecurity. That's why Walmart has teamed up to launch the free Thanksgiving dinner program to feed millions this holiday season. The free meals consist of 9 items and are designed to feed a family of 5. Some items include a butterball turkey breast, stuffing mix, cranberry sauce, and crispy fried onions. To take part in this offer, just go to home.ibotta.com/Thanksgiving. That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thank you for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.